It's the final word daily from the Women's World Cup and the last game in the group stage of any consequence whatsoever. Well, apart from, prize money and honour and stuff like that. It was Australia. It was against South Africa. And I've got to say that the broadcaster's friends, South Africa, did it again. I'm Daniel Norcross. I'm delighted to say that I'm joined by Firdose Moonda, who is going to describe in 30 seconds how today's South African team failed once again to heal a fractured nation.
Well, all I want to say is what happened is Alana King happened. South Africa collapsed against left arm spin against England, 69 all out. Now they collapsed against leg spin against Australia, 97 all out. And something, I think they just tried to force the issue. So after getting bowled out for 97, it was an absolute no contest. The game was pretty much done there. It's a couple of big questions around the organization of their batting lineup. Essentially what's happened is that South Africa have set up a date with England, the team that they collapsed against in the opening game, and they have avoided the hosts India in the semi-finals.
Which is probably not a bad call, because they can't play as badly against England again. This is 3 weeks and a day to the day that they lost abysmally badly. I don't know. I mean, it's not even a really helpful amount of time, 22 days, to draw any kind of conclusions from. You did mention Alana King, and it is Alana King's day. Let us start with Alana King, because that was some of the most deliciously beautiful bowling. You couldn't really sum it up in words. I would like to sum it up in a noise, which goes something along the lines of, oh, it was ball after ball. There was a point at which I think she was 4 for none off 2.5 overs. Utterly ridiculous. Best bowling figures by a woman in a World Cup, Women's World Cup. She's been threatening to take the wickets time and time and time again. Other sides have sat on her and just tried to play her out. I thought South Africa actually showed some guts today in recognising that there's no point in getting to 160. You're going to lose. So you might as well go down in a blaze of glory. Unfortunately, it wasn't so much glory as capitulation. From 32 without loss in the 7th over. They then lost wickets at 32, 42, 43, 43. Delicious. 43 for 4. You're loving it. And this is all Alana King. It's just Alana King going through everybody. A brief recovery in not very many balls, in actual fact. Only in about 3 overs. They managed to score another 17. And then Annery Dirksen goes. Chloe Tryon goes first ball. Specialist of really, really small scores, scoring some runs, Sinala Jafta, went, I'll help myself to 29 runs with 7 fours. And I thought that was plucky. But amidst it all, we were watching a masterclass. Give it a go. Explain what we saw from Alana King, because I just saw something so magical that I could watch it on repeat over and over and over again.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd want to watch it on repeat, to be honest with you. I think once was enough for me. But, Dan, I don't know that so many of those deliveries were unplayable. And I think South Africa made her look more unplayable than she actually was. I think their shot selection was pretty poor. So Sunelise, the first to go, going for the slog sweep early on. And I think you're right. I think that attacking is probably better than, sitting back, waiting for something to happen. I think showing intent is good. And then, unfortunately, she just completely gets it wrong. She ends up getting caught by Annabelle Sutherland at mid-on. And I'm noticing this problem with Sunelise is that I can see the idea. I can see that she really wants to be able to clear the boundary. I think she went way too early. And I think that is something South Africa will need to look at. Marizanne Kapp, that was a really nice catch by Kim Garth at backward point. But Marizanne Kapp could have been out the ball before, couldn't she? Because she popped the leading edge back to Alana King, and it would have been a good return catch, but she was unable to take it. Next ball, she goes for the shot, slices the ball to backward point, and she's dismissed. So neither of those two really, I think, were deliveries that they couldn't have played a different way, maybe along the ground in Sunelisa's case, maybe Marizanne Kapp also threading it through third rather than slashing in the way that she did. And I think that was, once you're 43 for 4 with Sinala Jafta to come, and you joked about her. She was incidentally also the highest scorer in the England match. She scored 22, I think it was. Jafta is batting too high up, and South Africa need to fix that before the semi-finals. So they've got 3 days to think of another plan, or just to drop her, bring Karabo Meso into the squad, and then shuffle the batting lineup. So that is really what needs to happen. And I think that is something that has to be addressed. The rest of it from Alana King, I think by that point, Annery Dirksen got a really good ball, and that one didn't turn all that much. That was the one that just kind of stayed straight. Maybe at the last minute took out leg stump. Annery Dirksen has been bowled maybe, is it 3 times in this tournament now? And I think she's got a little bit of a technique problem. I don't think her defense is as solid as we'd like it to be. So do they bring back Annika Bosch for the semi-final? And Annika Bosch, is a semi-final specialist. T20 World Cup last year, she pulled all the stops out and she played the knock that saw South Africa beat Australia. So if I was to pick a ball, I think it's probably that one from Alana King, and it's the one that didn't spin very much.
Well, I actually quite like the one that got Nadine de Klerk, because I really like Nadine. She's a great fun woman, and she's very honest.
She is.
And her reaction was superbly honest. She was beaten by the classic leg spinner's delivery. It drifted into middle and leg. She then looked to turn the ball into the onside, forgetting completely that the ball was now going to go in the opposite direction from that. And then it clipped her off stump, and she was like, "How? What? I don't understand it, cannot compute," and then had to walk off. But she did it with really good grace. Let's just top and tail this. 7 overs, 2 maidens, 7 for 18. It's a record. I think it puts to bed some of the other arguments we've been having. I'll give you one argument, which is, where the hell was she in the T20 World Cup last year? I mean, thank God she wasn't, because it allowed South Africa to win, and then it ultimately allowed New Zealand to win. So it made for a bit more interest. But it was baffling at the time that she wasn't playing, and it means, well, it sort of is even more baffling now when you think about it.
Absolutely.
A year later. The other one is Amanda Jade Wellington, who's a fan favourite. We all love Wello. She gets a lot of action, a lot of rip. She's got huge amounts of character, and going, why the hell isn't she in this squad? And we were sort of imagining maybe it's because maybe the face doesn't fit. Maybe she's not sufficiently robotic to get into this Australian side where everybody has to be exactly the same. And actually, it's because Alana King's really, really good at cricket. And what you've got to say about it is that she lands it. Now, however many spectacular balls were there were 4 bowls. And if you're attacking the stumps and you're landing it, which is what she does with metronomic accuracy, I do think that people aren't reversing her enough. I don't understand why. I mean, because she doesn't really have a googly, or if she does, she uses it so sparingly. She's like the anti-Mealy Kerr. Mealy Kerr only bowls googlies, and then there's the occasional incredible surprise, whereas Alana King always bowls leggies. And you do sort of think, I thought this the other day when England failed to come up with a solution. Shouldn't somebody be looking just to manipulate the field through backward point, perhaps, and just try and get a few away that way, even lift them up, maybe switch hit, whatever. Someone's got to find a way, because there's probably 2 games, maybe 1, maybe India have got a plan, but at the moment she is tying everybody in knots. 7 for 18, it was gorgeous. What else can we say about the game? I mean, there's not a lot to say, because once somebody takes 7 for 18, Laura Wolfhard continues to look in improving form. 31 today off 26 balls with 7 fours. We've mentioned Sonala Jafta loves a losing cause with her 29. Nadine de Klerk with 14. No one else made double figures. Any concerns about Tasmin Brits? It's hard to have concerns about a woman who's got 5 hundreds this year, or is it 4? I forget. 5. It is 5. She either gets 100 or she gets single figures. But you kind of take that, wouldn't you? Because when you're at the impact stage of a tournament, Brits might get 100 at the semi.
Yeah, I think my concern with Tasmin Brits is that she now knows that she's going all or bust. So she got the 3 ducks in this tournament and the 100. And I think because she knows that there's that danger she's going to get out early, then she goes the other way and she's ultra conservative. So there was a stage today where Laura Wolfhard was on 20 or even 30 odd, and Tasmin Brits was on 1. And in the end, she got 9 or 6, was it? I don't think that she has quite found the tempo yet that she wants to bat at. The times that she was dismissed for a duck, we saw her going full tilt, just whacking the ball really hard. Twice she was caught by the bowler in the follow through. It was a good hard shot, but it didn't need to be in the air. So I think finding the tempo is really important for Tasmin Brits, and she's had it through most of 2025. She's played some exceptional innings. That 171 against Pakistan in the lead up to this tournament was really, really a knock that, stands up there with some of the great innings that we've seen. I'm thinking back to like a Harmanpreet Kaur in a World Cup semi-final. Of course, it didn't have that significance, but Tasmin Brits is a good, clean hitter of the ball, strong on the leg side, excellent down the ground. And if South Africa are to win the semi-final, she probably has to come off. Otherwise, maybe a bit of Chloe Tryon, maybe a bit of Nadine de Klerk. If Laura Wolfhard has a good day, you never know. But she is really the most important batter in the squad. So I don't know what they're going to do with her between now and the semi-finals, except maybe encouraging her to play a little bit more along the ground. The one thing I have noticed from her is that she's definitely ready. They had a little insert before the tournament where they asked all the players, what's the game game that you're most looking forward to playing at this World Cup? And her answer was the final against Australia. So that's possible. South Africa could play the final against Australia. And I just get the feeling that she's really warming up for the big occasion. And she'll have to, because South Africa have only really had 3 big occasions at this World Cup. Tournament opener against England, which was a blowout. The game against India, where they actually were able to pull it over the line. And then this match. And this was a big occasion because it determined top of the table. And it's a team they've only beaten once in their ODI history. So you want to see more from them when it really matters, because going into the semi-finals, India go in having lost to the other 3 semi-finalists. That's not the position you want to be in.
Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, the weird thing is that I look at the way England made 244 and lost to Australia on the same venue at indoor. And you would say objectively, well, South Africa had done considerably worse by getting bowled out for 97. But actually, I thought England's attitude, or at least what they did in the middle overs, was way more timorous than what South Africa did. South Africa only went at 4 and over. So look, my argument has got very flimsy ground. It's probably specious nonsense, because England scored 147 more runs and they did it at a faster scoring rate. But there was something about South Africa's determination not to die wondering that I really loved. Whereas England scoring 26 runs from overs 21 to 30 and allowing Alana King to settle, I just didn't think was the right way to go. So I'm going to take my hat off to South Africa in a massively losing cause, because at least they gave it a bash. I'm going to dot the I's and cross the T's for everyone. Australia came out to about needing 98 to win. And they were in a little bit of trouble early on. Phoebe Litchfield was out to a dismissal you seldom see, driving, caught at a wide slip by Chloe Tryon. In women's cricket, it doesn't happen too often. And it looked lovely. And it was a bit of a good setup from Cap, because she'd come in, she'd come in, she'd come in, she took one away. Clippy, clippy, catchy, catchy, very, very nice. Loved it. Loved the optics of it. Elise Perry then walks out to bat. Now, I am in a minority of one in thinking that Elise, this might be the end for you. Obviously, she thinks that she's going on for another 20 years, but with an Australian setup that has got so many people banging on the door, she's not bowling, she's batting at 3, her returns aren't great. She was unlucky today because she was snaffled by a wonder catch from Nadine de Klerk, who had earlier, it was off Georgia Vol, wasn't it, that she'd dropped probably a harder one, in fairness, away to her right. She got one hand to it. This one was a little bit easier, but it was still beautiful. For me, might be catch of the tournament. It was gorgeous from Big Nads. And Elise Perry has gone for a duck. And at that stage, it's 11 for 2. And we're thinking, could this be the weirdest game ever? And that's Australia talking. Why do we? You're crazy. Beth Mooney walks out. She left hands her way to 42 off 41. Georgia Vol, who has threatened to be aggressive, and I've liked this about her because she's trying to show the selectors, look, if Elisa needs another game off just to make sure the calf is fine, don't worry, I've got it covered. She tried it a bit against England, got out to a very rash shot here. She was pugnacious, she was aggressive, she got 38 not out, 7 fours, 38 balls. I was irritated by drinks. I'm going to let that pass. There was no need for drinks. South Africa were nearly done. South Africa were doing their best to give all the broadcasters time off for good behaviour, as they have done before. These games end very late otherwise. And then Annabelle Sutherland walks in when Beth Mooney's out, and you're thinking, oh, crikey, are we going to have 15 pointless minutes? No, because Australia are the broadcasters' friends as well. Sutherland hits 2 fours in 4 balls, races to 10, game done. Marizanne Cap pick of the bowlers, 3 maidens in her 4 overs, 1 for 11. No one else really to write home about. There wasn't a lot to say about Australia's chase. It was pretty much clinical. It was pretty much efficient. But before we go to the Hall of Fame for Dace, because the game itself hasn't got a great deal on it, let's just ponder briefly what this means. It means, as we've mentioned, England are going to play South Africa back at Guwahati, the scene of that monstrosity in both their sides' first games, and Australia are going to play India. Is this configuration the best chance for basically every team to win the World Cup? Because Navi Mumbai against India, who are a side, the bowling is neither here nor there, but their batting can go toe-to-toe with the very best in the world. Similarly, for England and South Africa, they wouldn't want to play Australia almost on any surface, but certainly England wouldn't want to have played Australia in Guwahati. This is the best chance of an upset, isn't it? And for us to get a new name on the trophy.
I Yeah, Dan, I think we probably do have the best chance of a new World Cup winner here. Hometown pressure is really hard. We both saw that with India at the Men's ODI World Cup in 2023. It's difficult when you've got the entire nation and 1.4 billion people expecting something of you, expecting this to be a transformative win. And I think we've already seen with India at this tournament that they have found it quite difficult playing in big situations with a lot of people wanting them to do well and desperate for them to do well. So I think they'll need to navigate that first. But I do think if they can flip that, if they can get the crowd to get behind them and to be their player number 12 and to really rally against Australia, they've got a good chance then of winning that game. And then England and South Africa, I think, will be very happy. England thrilled to play South Africa because they know what they can do against them. And South Africa thrilled to have avoided both Australia and India because I don't think they would have wanted the home crowd kind of against them either. You know, South Africa are not used to playing in those types of situations. Even when we get good crowds here in South Africa, we don't get the fever pitch. We don't get the kind of absolute obsession with the game that you would get in India. So I think South Africa will be pretty happy with where they've ended up. I'll confidently say I don't think we'll see 69 all out again. I think South Africa are too proud to go and let the same thing happen against the same opposition. They might not be good enough to not get rolled for 150, and they really need to think about how they're going to approach Lindsay Smith in particular. But I think that it's going to be a good game. We wanted a good game when South Africa played England in the tournament opener for both of them. We didn't get that. We were so disappointed. Maybe we weren't because we got an early finish. But I really want to see a great game of cricket. And I just want to also have a little reminder that whatever South Africa do, and this is not a defense of them, it's just to put it out there, they are the only country in the last 2 years to qualify for every knockout across men's, women's, and under 19 tournaments in all formats. And that's a huge achievement for a country that doesn't necessarily have the financial resources of the big three. So I'm not saying they must go out and think we've done enough. They must try and win the game. But I think they'll be happy with that outcome. And I think maybe we'll get a new winner. And if it's going to be a new winner, I think it will be India.
Yeah, I tend to think that too. It's going to be all about the intent that India shows. You've got to be brave against Australia, and South Africa tried to be brave. It didn't work, but had they not been brave, had they been timorous, a little bit like England, then that wouldn't have worked either. So you've just got to trust to luck. We're going to head to the Hall of Fame very shortly. But before we do, let me just tell you a little bit about Lacuna. They're a wonderful, wonderful organization. They're about making sure that women and girls are kitted out in the right kit. Why has it taken so long? Why are these things happen? I don't know. We could argue about the patriarchy till the cows come home, but let's not do that. Let's instead focus on the delights and wonders of Lacuna. And if you are running a club and you've got a girls section, now is the time. Get them in, because your season may feel like it's a long way away, but it isn't. It's 6 months. You need to prepare. And Lee and Katie, who are both from Lacuna, they will head to you. They will come and they will give you a bespoke service. They've travelled to Scotland. They went there last spring to meet new teams and fit all the women and girls in their perfect kit for Scottish clubs Lomond Lynx and RHC Lynx, based in Falkland, in Fife, up in Scotland. If you've got that team, ready and waiting to go, make sure your women and girls are playing, especially the girls, because we know how many girls drop out of cricket because they feel uncomfortable in what it is they've got to wear and what they've got to do. And Lacuna is all about making sure that people love playing the sport that we love. And okay, I'm going to say something moderately controversial now. If you're a man listening to this and you're going, oh yeah, woke nonsense, your club is going to do a darn sight better if the women and girls are all playing in it. Because you may, for example, be in a relationship with a woman and you may have children. Who knows? If they're playing at this as well as your sons, you might get the opportunity to play more cricket yourself, because everybody's going to be involved in the community activity. So it's in everybody's interests, even you selfish men, of which I count myself as one, to ensure that we can make these things work. Now, I'm sorry, Firdose, I just had to say that. I just know that you've got to appeal to men. You've got to appeal to their more venal instincts. You must be aware of that. Men are venal.
Well, Dan, I'm glad you said that, because I did want to touch on the incident that affected the Australian women's team prior to their match against South Africa, which was an incident of inappropriate touching by somebody going past on a motorcycle in India. And I'm actually quite surprised that we haven't had more coverage of it. I've traveled through India myself many times, and pretty much exactly the same thing has happened to me, where I've had somebody come past on a motorcycle and just like have a grope. And it's too quick for you to react and to know what to do before you kind of think of what's happening. I mean, I'm South African. I had my bag on me, and my first reaction was, where is my bag? Because that's just how we're sort of programmed. And it's a really awful thing that really needs to be spoken about a lot more. You know, women and girls need to feel safe when they are out and about, when they are in private, when they are playing sport, when they are doing their jobs, and the environment needs to be created for them to feel that way. So, obviously we're talking in jest some of the time, but I think it's a really serious point that you've made about wanting to appeal to the male sensibility about keeping the people around them safe.
I couldn't agree with you more, Firdose. It's a horrible subject. It came up today. There will be more about that in the coming days in the press, I have no doubt, but we send our love and solidarity with the women affected from the Australian team. It was an horrendous thing, and like I say, I hope it doesn't derail Australia, and I hope that the women get the correct help and support that they're going to need, because it's just an unpleasant experience, a thoroughly unpleasant experience that no one should have to undergo. But let's head to the Hall of Fame. Welcome back. It's Hall of Fame time. I'm Daniel Norcross. Firdose Moonda is alongside me. What can we say? A Hall of Fame. It's almost like the entire game is a Hall of Fame in some ways. Alana King's a Hall of Fame. 4 bowls, 7 for 18. There's a Hall of Fame for you. Incidents, specific incidents of amusement and jollity. I don't know. Firdose, have you got one that stands out for you?
I do, actually, and it's the look on the South African team doctor's face when Marizanne Kapp was dismissed, because we mentioned earlier it really wasn't a good shot. Marizanne Kapp and the team doctor have a very strong relationship. Kapp has had several health-related issues, including many episodes of COVID, which have kept her out of games, and her and the doctor have worked really hard together to make sure that she's healthy and fit for important games. They're very close. And when Marizanne Kapp sliced that one to backward point, I think for a moment everybody thought, oh, she might have got it through. And just the doctor was sat in the dugout and they panned the camera to her. She had her hands on her head and she just closed her eyes and kind of like sank her chin towards her chest. And it was like, all the work I've done to get you on this field, and that's the shot you play. It was that kind of look of resignation, which I thought was just, oh man, even the doctor's disappointed in you. So that was quite an amusing moment for me. You mentioned also Nadine de Klerk's catch, and I think South Africa are in the running for 2 of the catches of the tournament. Laura Wolfhard with that one-handed stunner, was it against New Zealand, was it? And now Nadine de Klerk, and then Tasman Brits, that was great, yeah. And Tasman Brits, victim of one of the catches of the tournament. It was the Krantigard return catch against India. So some good catching as well, which I thought maybe is something worth talking about. But probably the best Hall of Fame moment is that you were rushing off somewhere, and we only had, 30 minutes at one point where you'd have to go and the game had to end. And in fact, you're going to be about 6 minutes early now.
Yeah, I mean, that is my Hall of Fame moment. I've even got time to shower, which is, and I know people may be asking themselves, why haven't I showered yet? It is, after all, nearly 7 o'clock in India. But that's because I'm an unpleasant, rancorous human being who doesn't take personal hygiene seriously enough. But tonight I'm going to. I don't know, for me, Hall of Fame... well, any minute now. I've got 5 minutes, a real quickie. So for me, drinks coming on the field. I love the fact that we have to keep on doing things by the book. We all know, and also, especially when you're in a World Cup where rain could fall at any moment, and I believe there is a bit of rain due today, weirdly, in indoor. So for them to actually dare to stop in a tournament like this for drinks, which could have just been disastrous, that was fairly crazy. The catch at slip, because you see it so rarely, is utterly beautiful. All of Alana King's spell, mostly because when she was at 1.4 for none, you just don't see that. You're like looking at this and going, there's a glitch in the system. It can't say 2.4 for naught. That's not possible. So there's a bit of that. But I think ultimately it's Big Nads' catch. I loved it because she so nearly pulled off an incredible screamer with a right hand before, and then she does it two-handed away to her left, and I was delighted for her because she deserved it. And I'm an enormous fan. I really, really love Nadine de Klerk, and I hope everybody else around the world does too. Right, there's a couple more games to go. The last two group games are tomorrow, and it's an early start for some of us. I'm doing a game here in Vizag in Visakhapatnam, which is the only 11 o'clock in the morning start. If you are in England, by the way, just a reminder that the clocks go back tonight, so it's a 5:30 in the morning start for you. Which could get a little bit unpleasant. And it's going to be Sophie Devine's last one-day international. It's probably going to be Susie Bates's last one-day international, but who knows? She's not announced anything, but Sophie Devine has. So that's worth getting up for. We'll be there for that. It's a double header. It's me and Firdose. We're back again. There's another game that I daren't call it a dead rubber because Hypercourse has pointed out that there's $420,000 that rides on the positions that you finish in this World Cup. That's a lot of money for a lot of women who have been starved of cash and investment, and their teams have been for years. So let's not take these games lightly. They are very important. But we're going to be back for that, and that'll be the end of the group stage. And it'll just be the two semis. We know who they are now. It's Australia against India in Navi Mumbai. It's England against South Africa in Guwahati. I've been Daniel Norcross, and I would like to remain that way. Firdose Moonda has very much been Firdose Moonda, and I'm going to see you, Firdose, tomorrow. I can't wait.
Thanks, Dan. Can't wait.